to another episode of Horror Movie Night. This week, we're talking about 1982's The Slayer, as picked by Scott, which I will say right out the gate, there has never been a movie that is saved more by the bookends of it than The Slayer.
It's true.
If you want to know why I picked this movie, it's literally the last 2 minutes. I was on the hunt for a Christmas horror movie that we haven't done, and it was a very close race between this and To All a Good Night. I hadn't ever watched this before, so I thought I saw the last 2 minutes. I saw the monster, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good to me.
I'm going to say something that might somewhat also be someone's double feature if they're a masochist. So I won't say any names, but a couple weeks ago we covered a different movie and kept talking about how like the elements of a good movie were there, but they just fucked it up the whole way. And I feel like this movie is way closer to what that movie could and should have been in my eyes.
Which one are you talking about, Matt?
I'm talking about Humongous.
Humongous. I guess it does kind of give the same feel. Yeah.
People trapped on an island being stalked by a weird monster. No one believes any, but like it just, I was like,
and there are only 4 deaths, you know?
Yeah. Like, I'm like, they're doing this right. Something that I did not anticipate when I did research for this movie, Scott, was that there would be a full paragraph in Wikipedia called critical analysis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
does it reference House of Psychotic Women at all?
No.
Because it feels like okay. I was like, that feels like the only entry point to critical analysis. But I'm intrigued now.
It says this is what the paragraph said. It said The Slayer has received critical attention from film scholars and horror enthusiasts due to its ambiguous sensibilities, with part of its narrative being told in a non-chronological order, allowing for multiple mutually exclusive interpretations supported by various different elements within the script. The core events of the film occur on the island, have been noted by critics for their dubious nature, as they can alternatively be interpreted in 3 ways. 1, the events which take place are entirely part of a dream or a premonition. 2, a monstrous creature in fact exists on this island and is responsible for all of the murders. Or 3, the characters of Kay or Marsh are responsible for the killings. However, the script does not resolve this fundamental issue, instead referring back into itself. Additionally, each of the characters in the film foreshadow their own deaths within the dialogue, which all occurs in the film's first act. So I guess you need to watch it twice, is what I'm getting from that, but apparently...
I did notice the ambiguity of it all, and I didn't necessarily I wasn't trying to figure it out necessarily. I think there was maybe a stretch in there where I was thinking that one of the people that was part of this group, don't even want to spoil it, because I think it is an interesting watch. I had a lot of fun with it, but there was a moment in time where I was thinking that it was one person in the group and sort of following that track, but then ultimately I was like, I guess it doesn't really matter. Some of the kills were pretty fun.
Dude,
the
decapitation is because I saw that this was a video nasty.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, that would do it. That scene
and
is so long and drawn out.
The pitchfork in the chest was surprisingly well done, because it's practical, and they somehow figured out a way, and I don't know how they did it. They figured out a way to retract the pitchfork from her chest and have it start bleeding, which I thought was really
which is
in a single
crazy.
Take. Yeah, I don't know how they did it. It's very obvious the way they did a couple other things. I was very, very, because like I said, I only knew the last 2 minutes of this movie going into it. I mean, I knew the conceit of the movie, and I knew that there's a monster at the end. I was very impressed. So this movie is relatively slow. The pacing is not my cup of tea. But that said, this movie is 89 minutes. So it also kind of cooks in a certain way. When it's slow, it's not slow for more than a couple minutes at a time. And the kind of fever dream feeling that it has just kept me going. I mean, it's not something I would rewatch, but it's worth the discussion.
It's worth watching on Tubi, for sure. So a couple quick things from the Wikipedia page. In the trivia, or on the IMDb trivia, like we said, the pitchfork murder was done in a single take. both the fisherman sequence was added in the middle of production. It was not in the original script. They just were like, hey, we need to throw another kill in here.
That dude should have been Dick Miller.
Yeah.
100% should have been Dick Miller.
1,000%.
And I couldn't believe it wasn't.
Slight spoiler, like Kyle said, you should probably watch this. I think all three of us would say, it's on Tubi, it's free, maybe watch it.
And it's not an hour and a half.
Yeah. The original ending actually had Kay being killed by the monster, and that was it. The little girl ending at the end was added after they had already wrapped the film.
Really?
I like it
which
better.
is very interesting.
I really
it's
like
super
the ending because I don't really enjoy time travel movies. You know, we've talked about that before, that the logic really breaks down as soon as you start to give it multiple options. Like, truly, I think that Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You are some of the only ones that have really been truly entertaining. I mean, I liked Totally Killer, but at the same time, it really is just playing real fast and loose with the rules. So, but with this, I saw it. I did not see it as that there was a killer on the island. I thought that it read very obviously that she was a precog and that she was either. So there, I see two endings to this movie, and this might be a stretch, but the first ending, the one that I'd give 60% to, a little bit more weight to, is that the entire movie is a dream that she's having in the past. So that would mean that if she was, I don't know, 28 in 82, let's just say that's 1962.
Yeah, we're seeing Christmas
so
morning,
she's like,
1962.
about 20 years
roughly.
earlier, and she wakes up and she has this premonition. That's cool. I think that's really cool. That's why I give it a little bit more
I also
weight.
think that that's weirdly horrific to spend 20 years knowing in
that that's how
detail
you're gonna
how
go.
you and your
Yeah.
friends are going to die.
Yeah, I think that's really great. But also that it makes me wonder if she is stuck in a loop where she eventually forgets the reality of it, the trauma of it, and then it's like. So that brings me to the other possibility, which
The
is
concept that it refers back into itself almost.
well, no, that the entire movie is in the present as in 1982, and that when she has that memory of, Christmas morning 20, let's just call it 20 years earlier, those are her dying thoughts.
Memories.
Oh,
So she is
yeah.
actually being murdered by the creature that lives on the island, but since she's a precog, she kind of knew it all along, and this is her brain being like, see, told you 20 years ago, shouldn't have done this. But it kind of also, that's horrific in itself because it's almost like it's an inevitability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the movie
don't-
concept is cool. I really like
cool.
it.
That's cool. I did too. I had fun with this watch.
I want to break the conversation of the Slayer for a second to talk about a thing that's usually Scott's wheelhouse, but one of the commercials I got on Tubi I absolutely had to talk about, which was, did either one of you get the Spam commercial for Spam and a Taco?
No?
No.
It was literally just someone grilling up
It's
Spam.
just yours. Yeah.
They were grilling up Spam, and then it said, Spam? And then he put the meat on a taco shell, and they said, on a taco? Pork fervor.
Oh,
Wow, I'm so...
oh no.
It's so funny. I was about to put an addendum onto that and say that Tubi really doesn't know much about me, which is good, because the ads that I saw were for buying cars and dick pills. Now, I understand that I'm getting a lot of dick pill ads, and I want the algorithms to know I don't need them.
You tell them.
Yeah,
You tell the
telling
algorithms.
Hymns,
It works
you're
fine.
wasting
Hey,
money
leave
on
me
them.
Listen up,
alone.
algorithms.
Yeah, it's like
His dick is fine.
ask anybody.
Ask anybody. We're right here. We'll tell you his dick's fine.
We've all roomed with them. We know.
It's fine.
Leave
But,
them alone.
So the algorithm might have that wrong about me, but it didn't give me a spam commercial, so I'm almost like, fuck, they kind of get me. So
Do they know us better than we know
yeah.
ourselves?
Oh no.
Do we know that Matt Kelly's going to buy spam?
To be
Do you need a car?
precognitive and knows that I'm going to need dick pills.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when you watched The Slayer?
So-
20 days ago.
Now you need
So-
dick pills. Hymns.com.
So,
Not a
there's
sponsor.
There's a lot that we can talk about in this movie that is pretty well done. We said that the pacing's a little rough. The kills are great. There are still moments in this movie that scream that this is someone's first film.
He was
one of the
working
biggest
at a liquor store.
At a liquor store and just pitched the movie to somody, and they
It's
said,
amazing.
"Sure, we'll
That's
do
the
it."
best.
Yeah,
That's a dream come
when I
true
read
for you,
that,
boy.
I was like, Kyle, is this the precognition for you?
But
Dude,
there's
if my first
definitely
movie is like The Slayer, I'll be happy. That's fine.
there's three things that I wrote down that are like that just scream like first time director issues. And the first one is when she wakes up from the opening scene, which is great. The opening scene is phenomenal.
So
where she's
good.
just walking around this weird room, the claws grab her face, and she wakes up.
Loved
But
it.
the angle that they shot her husband makes no sense with her eye line. Like
No.
it's shot in a way that like if you were a student of film, you'd be like, oh, this is showing the power dynamic that the husband has over her, like making her feel small. But it's like, well, that's not really. It's not really him in this movie that much, and also
No, it's not.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't line up with like she's already sitting up in bed, so like why is it like a down low angle?
I
There
got
was
it.
a few
Matt, I
eyeline
figured it
weird
out.
things.
Kyle, you're gonna feel so stupid for not figuring this out before me because I didn't go to film school.
Right.
They're
You've done this
infantilizing
before.
her because that lends credence to the end of the movie that she's having a precognitive experience.
All right, and dad and mom are all
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Actually,
there's
this
that.
guy is a genius.
This guy's so the
Now
other
you
one
feel
that
silly,
I had,
don't you?
Yeah, the other thing I had to laugh at is around that same opening scene. I think it's David. It's David or Eric. One of them is shaving in the mirror, and he cuts, and there's just this giant violin sting.
Yeah,
As if,
it's like,
this
oh,
is
no,
important
blood.
to anything. And then the last thing I wrote down was towards the end of the movie. Kay is walking around the island. She's finding all the corpses. But the way she finds Eric's corpse is that she's walking on a dock and sees like a tiny piece of paper or something like lodged in the dock. And then as she picks it up, she's staring at it for a couple seconds and then jumps back and there's just a bloated corpse directly next to her that whole time.
Just the
I was
whole
like,
time. She walked right by it.
This is the strangest way anyone has ever found a corpse in a horror movie night pick for quite a while, I must say.
It's almost got the Kyle vibe to it, where he picks movies where they have to jump over somebody and ignore
Right.
them.
This just happens to be a dead body.
Yes, it's a
not
dead body,
alive.
not a
Yeah.
live body.
Yeah, they're just jumping over logic leaps.
Yeah. Ooh, nice, very nice.
But then, like I said, you're right. The pacing in this, not great. Concept is pretty strong. The kills, though. Let's talk about these kills, because this is what's keeping us watching the movie for
And
the
there's
most part.
only 4 of them.
There's only 4
Yeah.
of them, but man, are they good.
All of them top notch.
Dude,
for the
that
most part. Maybe the last one. The last one is
Well,
whatever.
think about the
but
flare to the gut as the way to go out. That would fucking suck.
sucks.
And
That sucks.
I think the flare to the I actually like the flare gun death because of how instantaneously it bursts into like a full blown
Yeah.
fire.
He had a lot of
afterwards.
beats that night.
But no, there's 5. There's 5, possibly 6 if you're considering Kay dying, because the fisherman gets it in the face with that.
Oh, I forgot about the
orb.
fisherman. And
And
this
that
was
is-
pretty
head
intense
smash was
too.
gnarly.
Yeah, that close up of his face, like it's a split second, but whatever prop
But it
head
is
that they got to
effective.
hit broke real nice when they hit it with that paddle.
Yeah.
We talked about, I mean, the Dave's decapitation one is just insane. Like he's just dangling up there, feet hanging, while it keeps cutting to the close up of his head, like
And then his
spitting up
pajama
blood.
pants are getting bloodier. It felt
The
almost
pajama pants were
giallo.
great.
Like the way that it was shot was pretty artistic. And I was
It made me
very
think of
impressed.
another movie that I'm going to hold off on saying in case it's someone's double feature. But that was really rough. And then another potential double feature here, but there's a fishing hook into the neck. In this movie.
And trust me, I considered it, and I am going to avoid that because it is not seasonally appropriate.
Fair. Well, then someone gets a blood hook in the neck. That's what we're saying. And
that would save the
way
night, though,
more
but it
of
would
what
be
I
so...
wanted from Bloodhook. Like the absurdity of how drawn out that was. I was like, this is why I don't love Bloodhook that much.
I was thinking that one's rough for me to watch because it's like I've gotten a hook. I've had a friend get a hook in the eyelid before.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Sorry, I should have warned you. But then more than anything, it's like the trying to like grab the fishing line and how that feels in your hand and like how you just can't like. Oh God!
As soon as he said
rough.
that he was gonna, his wife said, "Are you going to Brooke?" Her name's Brooke. I'm so sorry. It's really easy to remember people's names when there are four people.
There's like four people.
Yeah.
But
I still don't know them.
That's okay. Brooke is Eric's wife, so she's the sister-in-law of Kay, and she goes, "Are you taking your fishing gear or whatever?" And he goes, or maybe she says, "Are you going to be fishing out there?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she says, "Of course you are." And I'm like, "Oh, he's dying via fish hook."
Yeah.
I knew it. I just such an obvious Chekhov's gun almost. I just thought that was really fun because, I do like that in horror movies where they set it up. They're like, this person is gonna get it this way, and then they give it to you because so much of horror really is predictable anyway. So at least like if you prime your audience, they get to enjoy it more because they're like, okay, when's it gonna happen? Oh, that was fun.
Right.
We knew it was coming. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
would
that's
say
something to be said about that.
The other big thing is that this movie is the total opposite of Watchers 3 last week. In that we don't see this monster nearly enough. The like 3 seconds that we get to see this creature's face and shit, I'm just like, this thing is so good. Look, this looks so good.
Yeah,
it's on the cover.
They were like, we got to get our money's worth out of it. And for what it is, I like that it has no mythology. No. It's basically some sort. This is like an SCP entry waiting to be written. With like flashbacks, time, like almost like time travel, but not, forgotten memories, and some sort of unknown creature. It'd be fantastic. But I could not get over just how pussy everything was. It was nice and gross. Like in the very first scene, she gets choked by those hands, and there's fake pus all over them. And I'm like, now that is a great monster because it's gross. Like I think that monsters are very sterile in a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, they have a lot of teeth and claws, are going to kill you. But if you think about it, you cross a werewolf with a zombie, and that's a good monster because you have something that has that predatory instinct, but also something that can infect you or is gross, like you get that kind of germophobia. Which will definitely play into my what did we watch? What did I read? At the end of the episode, it's probably also why it's on my mind. But I really liked how goopy he was. We don't know what we don't know what it was.
I would love to see them do something more with this monster. It's a real bummer that this movie is something that no one's really fucking heard of.
Well, maybe it'll get the HMN effect, you guys.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Jason Michael.
And we are the hosts here at The Spoiler Sleepover,
where every Sunday we spoil a horror movie from opening to closing credits.
We cover everything from the latest blockbusters
to the golden oldies
and everything in between.
So come on and grab your sleeping bag and join us
at The Spoiler Sleepover.
You can follow us on Instagram at Spoiler Sleepover and check us out on Spotify and Google Podcasts.
We can't give it the HMN bump, but what we can do is give a bump to a few other movies. Scott, what would your double feature be on this bad boy?
All right, so I don't know if we mentioned that this movie ends so strangely as "Wake up, Kay! It's Christmas morning." Then it's like "Papa," because like she's got the black cat that eventually ends up in the freezer. Because of that, I was kind of veering towards another movie that we've really done recently that also is kind of inexplicably Christmas as well, Night Killer. Because Night Killer, the last scene, the little shit daughter she opens her presents too early and she finds the Night Killer mask in it.
Yeah.
That's
God,
great.
I forgot about Night Killer already. How is that possible?
I think about that movie weekly. That's my new Roman Empire, guys.
Yeah. How about you, Kyle? What's your double feature?
Can I give you the two that
Sure.
are not seasonally appropriate that I thought about immediately? I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Was because they were on this island. They were on this island that the storm just comes in, and they're like, "What do we not think about?
The
Like how
storm
we
wasn't
shouldn't go to
even
this
that
island?"
bad in this one.
No, the storm was fine.
Harbinger was like, "It's gonna be a bad storm." I loved the Harbinger in this, by the way. I didn't mention that.
He was
great.
He was great. And then I thought Mutilator too, but then
Mutilator was on my list.
Fall break, but not more seasonally appropriate, but still not seasonally appropriate. But ultimately, one of the more interesting things about this movie was I was like, oh, these are all adult people. Like it's it's like slasher-y, but it's clearly adult people who are like have relationships and complicated relationships or built upon relationships. I was thinking Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Also slow as hell, but we have this sort of like woman who's having these questions about her mental state, and everybody's sort of tiptoeing around her, but also like trying to help and all this stuff. So I thought that it might, and it's still foggy and nice.
That's
nice.
a really good double feature. Now, thematically, I don't know if it would be a very watchable double feature.
I don't know if it would be either, but it would be. I would be very happy.
Hey,
with it,
we should also pimp the fact that you're. We should put a little bump
you got
out
a
there
music video based on it.
based on
I do. I mean, that's why I love. I mean, that's not why, but I do love that movie so much that I did a music video homage to it for Magana for Jenny Don't Leave is the name of their song, and it was one of the first music videos that I did. So we got to go to some of the locations and stuff, and it was a good time. So it's a great song too. So that was lots of fun. So if you like Let's Scare Jessica to Death, or don't, if you like me, you can watch. You can go watch that music video
and hire him to do music videos for you.
Yes,
please. I'd love to do some more.
So I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to give this the same double feature I gave Humongous. American Gothic. Bunch of friends trapped on an island getting killed. The other thing that I thought of, though, is David dangling in the attic made me think of Hereditary, actually, where she's sawing her neck off with the wire.
Now, that would be a brutal double feature.
That's a truly brutal double feature. That is a movie that, again, I've said a million times. Great movie. Don't know if I will ever, ever, ever watch it again. Everyone's favorite segment, mostly because I get to sing some Four Non-Blondes for a quick second. But hey, what's going on? We don't have anything big coming up in the near future as the time of this episode dropping, but you can always check out our online store. You can find it on hmnpodcast.com. Takes you straight to our store, Envy. Buy some t-shirts, buy some merch from us. Or if you really like our conversations and wish you could hear more of it, patreon.com/HMN podcast. And lastly, just follow us on social media. Our Facebook page is bumping at all times. So find the Horror Movie Night podcast group on Facebook or follow us on Instagram. We're very friendly. And now we've got one more thing left to do. You hinted at this earlier. What have you read recently?
So I crushed a book in maybe 30 hours, which was crazy for me. I could not put it down. It's called Sister Maiden Monster by a writer named Lucy A. Snyder, and it is pandemic horror, Lovecraftian horror, and body horror. And it is super, super fun. It reads so easy, and I'm reading it, and it does the thing where it doesn't tell you what city this is happening in, but I'm reading it, and I'm like, I mean, she does mention that it's Midwestern, and I'm like, this feels like she's hinting at either Chicago or Cleveland or Pittsburgh. She's from Columbus. So Columbus, Ohio writer who I would love to meet sometime. She's awesome. She's got like 5 other books. She's a Bram Stoker Award winner. She won the Shirley Jackson Award once too. I can't wait to read the next thing from her. I mean, not the next thing that she comes out with, because this book came out maybe 7 or 8 months ago at this point. So it's relatively new. I just need to find some more stuff by her. This winter, I'm just going to try and crush a book every 2 weeks if I can. I have made myself an insane list of like 40 books because TikTok algorithm knows that I'm looking for horror books now, and so it's feeding me so much stuff. And this was the second thing that I picked off of my long list, and highly, highly recommend it. The funniest part about the whole experience was I went to her Instagram because I was going to, comment and say like I love the book, blah blah blah. She really she posted at the end of February when the book came out. She doesn't really use Instagram, and that's totally fine. And I commented on her post about the book coming out, and I was like, loved it, killed it in a couple days, in a day and a half, whatever. And some dude was like, I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it, but it was just too much man bashing. And I'm thinking like, do you not understand how character writing works? It's like a female-led novel. The character motivations are there. It's not like if you're
also,
feeling
men are awful.
I mean, there's
like,
that. But it was just so funny to me because it's like you can't separate the artist from the art in that sense. And I'm not saying anything negative about separating the artist from the art or the inverse. I just mean like there's a difference between Lovecraft being a fucking shithead and like being like, okay, well, he's been dead for 100 years. It's okay to read his stuff now versus I'm not going to read neo-Nazi literature. And then in the inverse, being like, I'm offended by this book because its female main characters are critical of the men in the book because the men are written like shitheads. I mean, like it's not every single man in the book. It's literally the characters that they like some of the characters that are interacted with. But the funnier thing is he goes, it's really hard to find horror books that don't have a left wing slant to them. And I wanted to be like, bro, did you miss the boat and forget that horror is very queer and very, very progressive? So
yeah,
it's just so funny when this happens because it happens a lot.
I want to know what is their favorite thing that makes them say that. Like if they like horror,
they like violence against women.
Yeah, they like death and murder.
Right.
Scott, I'm going to bounce right off of that.
Terrifier is great.
Because
sorry.
Yeah,
there we go.
I'm not sorry.
So I'm going to jump in with my what did I watch because it seems to synchronize with your book right away. The Marvels, really fun. The Marvels is just a plain old fun movie.
Same kind of negative reaction, though.
Getting the same kind of negative reaction. And you know what's my favorite thing about the Marvels, Scott? It's an hour and 40 minutes. Like,
hell yeah.
It is the shortest Marvel movie that they've ever produced.
Really?
And
the shortest?
Yeah.
It's shorter than like
The
Iron
shortest.
Man?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's shorter than Iron Man. It's literally like once you get to the credits, it's been a smooth like 90 minutes.
Ooh,
like it's
I
great.
can't wait.
It's fun. It's light. Like I know that Jonathan did an episode on it and he mostly liked it. And he pointed out some stuff that I guess makes sense that like this movie was longer and they trimmed it down in an effort to like get more show times with it. Like it was like one of those well, a 2-hour movie can only play this many times at the box office, but a 90-minute movie
can plays a day or in that.
But I think that he was looking at it through that knowledge. I didn't have that knowledge. The movie felt easy, breezy, lemon squeezy to me. Like I was just enjoying the whole ride.
That's what we need. I didn't say anything about Loki season 2. I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like time travel. I don't know why I like Loki season 2 so much.
Loki handles it well. And I also just want to give a quick shout out because this is going to be either people are going to be all in on this movie or it's not their sense of humor. But literally today I watched the Please Don't Destroy movie that dropped on Peacock. Oh, yeah. And if you're a fan of Please Don't Destroy from their SNL sketches, like jump on board. You're going to have an absolute fucking blast. It's just in the exact same vein as all their other sketches. Very frenetic, random, and quick, snappy dialogue. So I had to seek it out on Peacock, which seems insane because it came out Friday directly on Peacock. So I have a feeling that they're not pushing it or promoting it on their own app, which is even more confusing because I watch SNL on Peacock. So it should be like
they
locked
don't
in
have
the
an
algorithm.
Peacock doesn't have an algorithm.
But all right, Kyle, how about you? Send us home.
I've been listening to a lot of music. I've been trying to go through my to listen playlist on Spotify. Any new release or something that comes out that I really want to get into, I'll add to this playlist. But that playlist sometimes just gets long. So a couple albums just because I can, and it'll be quick. Ken Mode put out an album called Void that I fucking love. Metal and hardcore together. 4 to 6 minute songs, but metal driven with hardcore sensibilities, and I just think that I really, really love that. And then Crimes in Stereo put out an album, and
what?
I was never
They're still around.
So I think it's their first album in like 13 years.
That sounds about right, because I listened to them in college.
So Crime in Stereo was never on my radar, but it was like one of those bands that was in the conversation with a lot of other bands I listened to, right? And like,
do they share
this
members
album,
or something?
I don't know who else was in that band. To be honest with you, I didn't know. I don't know. I don't think I ever listened to them. But this album that came out, I love. It's like it feels like if Connor Oberst and Bright Eyes just went like heavier emo. Like,
did you ever listen to Desaparecidos?
Like, I never got into them
because that's kind of what you're asking for. That's like Connor Oberst
which is Oberst, yeah. So I maybe I'll have to revisit because I still am a big Connor Oberst fan, but it was mostly Bright Eyes and then the solo stuff, right? Or with the Mystic Valley Band or whatever. Like, I didn't really get into Monsters of Folk or any sort of the other offshoots, but I love the Crime in Stereo album. Like,
what's it called?
I mean, I don't know. It's
House and Trances, I think it said.
Yes.
I just Googled it very quickly.
Yeah, and it's great. Pensioner is like the first track off of it, and it's just like, it comes in swinging. It's great. So yeah, those are the two that I've kept returning to. I think I don't remember if I talked about pigs.
You have, yep.
Pigs. Okay, cool.
Well, I mean,
so that's
I don't know if that was on the show or if it was just with us.
No, I think because I recognize that. I think that you talked
Land
about
of Sleeper,
show,
like
but...
sludge, sort of like Black Sabbath-y, like great. It's great. So a lot of like heavier stuff I've been listening to. Heavier. It's not been that heavy, but
heavier than
as far as my folk,
that's fine.
Right. As far as like my folky sensibilities go, it's been as far like far from my Tyler Childers recommendation.
Which I've been listening to that cover of "Help Me Make It Through the Night" quite a bit the last couple of months. It's so good. So thank you for that.
Have you guys, real quick, speaking of Tyler Childers, have you guys listened to, and I know it's been out for a year, but it's just really gaining a lot of momentum now, Stick Season from Noah Kahn?
I just added it to my listen playlist.
Megan introduced that to me about a month ago, and I was like, holy shit, I heard some of this stuff during the summer on TikTok as like sounds.
Yeah.
And I think he's got like a Grammy nomination or something like that.
Yeah.
Deserves it because that record is heartbreakingly beautiful, and it's the lyrical content, and he's also really good about kind of stream of consciousness. He'll use a word and a phrase, and then he'll kind of change it so it's like I'm trying to think about it. It's like in Dial Drunk, he says like I'll dial drunk, I'll die for you. And I like that he kind of chops that word play up in very interesting ways. He does it a lot. It's kind of, and it tickles my brain in a good way. Fantastic material.
Yeah. Oh, good. I just added it over the weekend because everybody's been talking about it.
I think that Paul Revere is my favorite song on that record, by the way.
Okay.
I'll have to check that out. I'll throw Paul Revere on my little playlist of songs for the year as well.
You just listen to the whole thing, dude. It's an amazing record, and it's long. It's like 16 songs.
Yeah, I was surprised at how long it was, which is nice because I'm like so many albums would get put out where it's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes now.
Well, that's actually how long an album should be. I think that we got bloated for a while because I've been having that conversation with my drummer, like, how long do we make the Ichabod record? And he's like, aim for 25 minutes. And I'm like, I don't know if I can, but we can try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think if it's a good record, I want it to just keep going on and on. So I think that the things that I really gravitate towards are like long storytelling records, which is whatever.
Yeah. Well, speaking of long storytelling, we watched The Slayer from 1982, which ended with a little bit of Christmas. So stay tuned next week where we're going to get about an hour and 7 minutes of Christmas to wrap up the holiday season.
Yeah, Kyle.
I can't wait.
So stay tuned.
I think that I'm dreading it more than anybody else here.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.